ably represented by the first Deputy President of the Chamber, Chief Emeka Obegolu, to make the welcome remarks. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Thank you, Chimdima. Thank you all. Good morning. Let me first apologize for the absence of our president. It is for reasons beyond his control that he wishes us and all the women in Nigeria through the Abuja Chamber of Commerce, wishes us to have a very successful webinar. The national president of the Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industries, Mines and Agriculture, Hajiya Saratu Aliyu, the Executive Director of Women Enterprise Alliance, WENA, Mr. Yemi Bello, Executive and Council members of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, our distinguished women in business, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the Abuja Chamber of Commerce is delighted to host this very important webinar in recognition of the International Women's Day and the role women continue to play in the advancement of the society, in all structures of the society. I am aware of the stereotypes that women in business and in other professions encounter, but as we have seen in recent times, women continue to respond to stereotypes by forging ahead, showing leadership, and excelling in their diverse endeavors. In the Abuja Chamber of Commerce, we have chosen to challenge the limitations that women face in their businesses. Over the past 30 years, trade has been the engine of poverty reduction and eradication, and can also provide an engine to reduce the gender gap if proper policies are in place. At the Chamber, we acknowledge the pivotal role that women play and the impact that women's engagement in trade can bring to the economy. Hence, our advocacy for giving them more and better opportunities. We also understand that seizing these opportunities will be even more important in the post-COVID-19 world. The women in Abuja Chamber of Commerce feature significantly in trade. Over 60% of our membership base is composed of businesses either owned or led by women. However, these women often face specific constraints that undermine their business activities. These limitations or barriers include, but are not limited to, lack of adequate information and capacity building, lack of appropriate business networking opportunities, poor access to finance, difficult access to land, poor access to market and market information, and other services that can facilitate their businesses and allow them to compete better in both local and international markets. At the Abuja Chamber of Commerce, we are supporting, and we are proud to say this, we are supporting our women by providing discounted and free services that will boost their businesses. We provide capacity building in the areas of new business strategies and other business-related topics and endeavors. We have also established a hybrid platform for women to sell their goods through the Araha online and monthly physical market, where women network, sell, and buy goods. Now, with the recent signing of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which seeks to create a single market for goods and services in order to deepen the economic integration on the African continent. The essence of the Araha Farmers Market is to prepare our women farm producers, the medium and small enterprises for the global market. I would like to inform us all that the Abuja Chamber of Commerce is celebrating this year's International Women's Day by showcasing the businesses of our members who are women entrepreneurs on a daily basis. We will be wrapping the month up by publishing a magazine that will also spotlight their achievements as encouragement to other women entrepreneurs. Permit me to tell us a bit about the developmental strides of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce, which we have recorded over the years. In the recent past, the Chamber established and have strengthened 4 key centers, and these centers are the Abuja Trade Center, the Business Entrepreneurship Skills and Technology Center, the Dispute Resolution Center, and the Policy and the Policy Advocacy Center. The Chamber has also strengthened its cooperative to serve our members better. It is in recognition of the valuable contributions of these centers that the National Association of Chambers of Commerce and Industries, Mines and Agriculture, NACCIMA, chose to adopt these 4 centers as national centers at its 2021 First Council quarterly meeting. I invite you all to please visit and explore the opportunities that we have made available in these centers in fulfillment of our mandate for women and business in general. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to this webinar and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, First Deputy President, Chief Emeka Obegolu, for the enlightening speech about the Chamber and what the Chamber has done and continues to do for women. Like the First Deputy said, what we have done at the ACCI, we have chosen to challenge the limitations women face in their businesses. And we have done this, like he had enumerated a lot of things, initiative the Chambers has commenced to help women. And I want, as you are listening to us today, to really think about what you have chosen or what you are choosing starting from today to challenge in respect of women and businesses. And it is in this respect that I invite our keynote speaker to give a goodwill message. And it's no other person than our one and only Mama, the National President of the National Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, Hajiya Saratu Aliyu. Welcome, Ma.
Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit disorganized, but I think I found my speech now.
Morning, Hajiya, and welcome.
Welcome you all to this webinar. Abuja Chamber has been a thing of pride to us in the Chamber movement. They keep making us proud by organizing this webinar now. I think NACCIMA should say
goodness.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Council and the entire members of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NACCIMA, I extend a warm greeting of welcome to the speakers and participants at this webinar in celebration of the International Women's Day 2021 with the theme, Women in AfCFTA, How Africa can Leverage on Women Potentials. I commend the Abuja Chamber of Commerce, ACCI, under the able leadership of Dr. Alimuji Tefa Abubakar, CFA, for organizing this event. I am honored to address you today as the keynote speaker of this auspicious occasion because a major step of leveraging women's potentials under the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement is by conducting advocacy and awareness raising on gender and AfCFTA issues. I applaud the Abuja Chamber of Commerce for leading in this area of advocacy. I urge city, state, and regional chambers across the country to actively engage in increasing awareness on the African Continental Free Trade Agreement as it relates to women. Without identifying and profiling solutions to the key challenges to women's effective participation in the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, the benefit of the agreement in form of industrialization and creation of regional value chain will be limited. Hence, women need to be supported to effectively participate in this continental free trade area. to fully harness the potentials of women for Africa's success in implementing the AfCFTA, there is need for women's trade associations and businesses networks, such as the NACCIMA Business Women's Group, NAWOG, to be strengthened. This goes a long way in ensuring that every African woman in business and career understands her role in the success of this continental agreement. The strengthening of women's trade associations and networks is a collaborative responsibility of both the private and the public sector. In concluding my address, I want to admonish every woman present here today to acknowledge that Africa needs you and decide to contribute your quota so that the objectives of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement are achieved. Once again, I commend the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry for organizing this crucial webinar and wish you all successful interactions and deliberations today. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much. That was our national president of NACCIMA, and it was a wonderful presentation by her. It is not enough for women to state their limitations or the challenges they are having in their businesses all over the world. Hajiya Saratu has also enjoined us women to acknowledge that Africa needs us. And it's not enough to identify these challenges, but for us to contribute our quota in making sure that these challenges are treated to our benefits. Thank you very much, Madam. Our next speaker is the guest speaker, the Executive Director of Women Enterprise Alliance, Mr. Yemi Bello, who will be speaking to us on what his organization has done and is still doing for women. Please welcome Mr. Yemi Bello. Thank you.
Good morning, all. To all my distinguished guests here this morning, to all the ladies, all the women. Today is a wonderful day for us to be with you today to celebrate International Women's Day. First of all, I'd like to start by saying on behalf of the founder of the Women Enterprise Alliance, Her Excellency Aisha Babangida, she's really want to say she's sending her her gratefulness for inviting us today to be part of this event. We know as partners with ACCI, we are here to actually work together to see how we can actually grow the industry and how we can actually support women in business. I'd actually like to speak this morning. You've given us a topic on how women can actually be involved in the free trade area. And our perspective on it is the opportunities. Rather than looking at women potential, beyond potential, what are the opportunities for women entrepreneurs in the context of the African Free Trade Agreement? So if we're actually going to look at the opportunities for women in this trade area, I think the very first thing to really think about is, what is AfCFTA? What is it all about? So if we have an idea of what AfCFTA is all about, then we can think about what are the opportunities and how we can leverage it. So I'll start off by understanding that AfCFTA actually was primarily set up to boost inter-African trade and provides a comprehensive and mutual beneficial trading area for its member states. And some of the objectives for which it was actually set up are very important because they actually have a direct link to how women entrepreneurs can actually be involved. So some of the objectives behind it was, one, to create a single market that would deepen economic integration within the continent. The second objective, one of the other objectives, was to aid movement of capital and people, which will facilitate investment. Another key objective behind setting up AfCFTA was to achieve sustainable and inclusive socio-economic development, gender equality, and structural transformation within member states. So enshrined within the AfCFTA is this important item, which says it's one of the objectives is to achieve sustainable and inclusive socio-economic development, gender equality, and structural transformation within the member states. This there tells us that the role of women and the role of gender plays an important part in AfCFTA. Another important objective behind AfCFTA is it actually is to enhance competitiveness of member states. So now that we have a little bit of background of what this trade area is all about, I think the question we can ask ourselves, if we're going to take the opportunities for women in this, what are the intrinsic benefits of having this of this trade area? So what really is the case for AfCFTA? One, this area will cover a market of over 1.27 billion people, with a gross domestic product of over 2.5 trillion across the 55 member states. So we're looking at opportunities. What are the opportunities? We're looking at a potential market of 1.27 billion people with a GDP of over 2.5 trillion. We're also looking at a dynamic market. That means this market is so dynamic that it is projected by 2015, there'll be over 2.5 billion people within this area. Another important thing that makes this the potential opportunity here is that intra-African trade within AfCFTA is projected to grow by 52.3% by 2022, and while compared to global trade, which will grow by 6% over the same period. So we're looking at a market that has enormous potential for women in business and for SMEs. So how do we even narrow this down a bit to SMEs? If we think about it, SMEs are key to growth in Africa, and they account for over 80% of the region's business. So with the free trade agreement, SMEs can actually tap into regional export destinations, as opposed to looking at, oh, I want to immediately start to export my things to Europe, or I want to export my things to Asia, which are all well and good. SMEs can tap into regional export destinations and can use regional markets as a stepping stone for expanding into overseas markets. So this gives us a bit of context of what are the potential opportunities for women businesses. And I'm sure we're all aware within Nigeria, if we're thinking about export trade within Nigeria, let's narrow it down to Nigeria. So what are the opportunities that are there? We know that we have the exports in a number of areas. We deal things like agricultural commodities, we've got horticultural products, we've got semi-processed or manufactured products, we've got solid minerals, we have arts and crafts, and we also have processed and manufactured products. So we have so many things that are at our disposal within this country and beyond the shores of this country, within Africa, that we can actually export within the region. So that then makes us think about then, what is the specific role of women entrepreneurs in development? We understand, I mean, from a lot of literature and from what we see day to day, we know that women's contribution towards the socio-economic development of Africa is well documented. I mean, a lot of research has been done and we see this every day. Another important thing to note is that women account for over 50% of trades and SMEs within the continent, and they produce quality products that are visible, marketable, and exportable. So what we can see is that within the last decade, Nigeria, as Africa's largest economy and also one of the most populous countries, has contributed as much as 76% of total trading volume within the ECOWAS region. So we're not even just talking about potential, we're talking about the opportunities, the immense opportunities for women. So for us to tap into this, as the previous speaker spoke about, we also need to understand some of the challenges. We're well aware, and it's well documented that lack of information is part of the problems that women entrepreneurs face. sometimes there's also the issue of lack of export enablers. There's a high transaction cost and delays. We understand that there are even challenges of corruption, sometimes insecurity, and gender-based harassment. There are also infrastructure deficiencies that we find within the continent. There are weak trade, also in the area of associations. When we're talking about cross-border associations, there are weak trade associations. So these are some of the challenges that are there that are inherent. But beyond the challenges, the key speech here today really are opportunities. What are the opportunities? There are immense opportunities open to women entrepreneurs. One is taking advantage, for example, of export expansion facilities. There are a lot of export expansion facilities that can help women entrepreneurs, women in business, to actually take advantage of grant facilities, loan facilities, so that they can actually have the capacity to export their products beyond the shores of Nigeria. We also understand that there's also there's that need also to look into some of the policies and some of the systemic interventions that are more favorable to women. Remember, we pointed out as part of the AfCFTA, what was intrinsic in there as part of the elements of setting it up. We said one of the objectives was to promote and attain sustainable and inclusive socio-economic development, gender equality, and structural transformation. So it is inherent, it is built within the framework of this agreement. So there are lots of opportunities that if we, rather than just seeing potential, there's opportunities, for example, of us to establish strong women networks across cross-border networks, so that trade can be a vehicle for channeling information across the cross borders. That's one opportunity that we can actually take advantage of. There's also taking advantage of the export facilities that are available within the shores of this country. And I think the final thing that I'd like to say that we can actually take advantage. For example, the Women Enterprise Alliance, as an organization, we exist to promote the expansion and growth of women-owned businesses and enterprises. We provide a lot of advocacy for women entrepreneurs, and we encourage a lot of export readiness for indigenous products, evaluating trade policies and how they affect the women entrepreneur. Part of what we try to do using this platform, for example, is providing women with a lot of information. Our speaker mentioned earlier on that information is one of the crucial things that is needed for the women entrepreneur. So by speaking today this morning, we're talking about the opportunities. There's immense opportunities. Imagine the potential of 1.2 billion people for our products that we actually currently produce in Nigeria. There's the opportunity when we're trying to produce goods and services, rather than if you can't actually source some of the materials within the country, because of AfCFTA now, we can actually source some of those raw materials across the border. So there are immense opportunities for women entrepreneurs and women businesses. So I'd like to thank you again for inviting me to speak. But what I'd like to leave behind with us is there's immense opportunity.
Right. You know they move the chairs around again. Eh?
There are immense opportunities for us as women, for women businesses to grow, and beyond potential, there are opportunities. So I'd like to actually thank you this morning for this short presentation, and let's think of opportunities and how we can actually be one of the first to move into these markets, because there's so much potential and opportunities for us. Thank you once again, and I hope we enjoy the rest of the deliberations today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yemi Bello, the Executive Director of Women Enterprise Alliance, for your powerful presentation. You said that there is need, that there are a lot of opportunities for women within the AfCFTA, and there is need for women to form strong network across border, which is really important for women to be engines of growth. Over 50% of women are entrepreneurs in Nigeria and in general, are the engines of any economic growth in the country. So thank you very much for your presentation. I'm sure our women have noted this, and of course, we immediately start working towards it. But I will remind the participants to please mute their wonderful presentations by our speakers. Please, may we all mute our microphones as I call the next speaker. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is no other person than our Vice President, Women Development, the woman leader of ACCI. She is Mrs. Rosaline Obiageli Nwosu. Please welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chidinma. I want to welcome our national president, the president of NACCIMA, Hajiya Saratu Aliyu. Madam, you're welcome. I want to acknowledge my president, ably represented by the First Deputy, Chief Emeka Obegulu. I also want to acknowledge the Executive Director, Mr. Executive Director, who just finished his presentation. I also want to acknowledge our DG, who will be talking later. Also, our Registrar General, Aisha, who is in charge of Dispute Resolution Center, and also other stakeholders who are here with us. You are most welcome, and our listeners. I must say that my job has been made much, much, much easier, starting from the NACCIMA president, who listed what women have been doing, and also in her goodwill message made some recommendations that will help women to benefit from the provisions of the agreement we are talking about today, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Also, our first Deputy Chief Emeka Obegolu has mentioned, in essence, what the Chambers is doing to encourage our women. He mentioned the opportunities for training, then the establishment of the Araha Farmers Market, which is sort of introduced to prepare the women, for moving into the continental free trade area, to have learn the experience, learn what they need to know before they can move away from Nigeria. We also had Mr. Yemi Bello talking about the opportunities, and he also mentioned some challenges. So all I have to do now is to stress the importance of women, and then to mention a few things that I think we can do to help them, because we've also heard a lot about the challenges women are facing. I must say that women play a significant role in trade in Africa, and will be essential to the continent's success in leveraging the full potential of the trade agreements. Women in Africa play an important role in intra-regional trade activities, either through the formal trade or even through the informal one and small-scale activities. Women account for vast majority of informal cross-border traders and are key stakeholders in Africa's economic development. There's no doubt about that. I think we've all agreed on that. Statistics show that women contribute 50% of gross domestic product of most nations, both the developed ones and the developing ones. And in particular, in the year 2018, women entrepreneurs generated 33% of the GDP of the entire African continent, rather. So there's no doubt, and I think we all have agreed that women have a lot to play. Most of the SMEs and the cross-border businesses are conducted by women. Unfortunately, women, apart from the general problems and challenges faced by other traders, women also have peculiar issues that they deal with. To start with, a lot of women don't have the capacity and the finance to get to the level where they really want to be. Also, women have problem with getting the necessary information concerning the markets and the facilities available for them to pursue their trade. That is apart from the problems they have processing their papers. Unfortunately, a lot of women are not taken seriously. I don't know whether it's our culture or what, but most people take businesses run by men more seriously than women. So these women, they face a lot of challenges processing their papers, the delays and all that. And sometimes they even encounter not only corruption, but also gender-based violence, and sexual abuses. So they are really, really difficult issues to deal with. But that excavates the problem that women have. Now we have to deal with how can women be positioned to truly, make their own contribution to ensure that Africa gets to where it wants to be by this agreement that has been put in place, which is supposed to open up greater market opportunities and to trigger more trade and investments all across Africa. One of the things that I thought about, when I was doing my research is to leverage upon one of the objectives mentioned by AfCFTA itself. One of the objectives is to promote and attain sustainable and inclusive socioeconomic development, gender equality, and structural transformation of state parties, ensuring that gender equality is promoted in all its processes. This is very, very encouraging because women's issues, they really need to be mainstreamed. As the Chinese would say, women hold half of the sky. And as we all know, women have a very important role to play. And if they are not if they are not integrated into the system, we will lose the benefit that they will bring into it. We know that women businesses, as Yemi said, form almost 80% of all the SMEs, and they bring in a lot of benefits. A woman that makes money, the first thing she will think about is improving the status of her family. So they invest a lot in food, schooling of children, and also ensuring that the family's welfare is taken care of by providing money for taking care of their health and all that. So in a way, women ensure that the SDGs that we are talking about, number one, no poverty, and then good health, and then the other SGs, I don't have all of them right here, that they are achieved by virtue of the fact that they ensure that the family and the entire society benefits from what they make, the money that they make. So we need to factor that. And luckily, because the AfCFTA has taken as one of its objectives gender equality, it is very, very important that women are integrated into the system. And then another thing that women need to do, which has been mentioned by Yemi, is to ensure that these issues are taken care of. Women should also do their own homework by making sure that they get empowered, if they acquire the necessary skills. Luckily in ACCI here, we have a training best center that is in charge of training that helps to build the capacity of our women. We need to build capacity of our women, and maybe on their own, because they are not so rich, they may not be able to get to the level where they need to be. So the different governments in different countries, the 55 countries that make up this trade agreement area, will take special interest in building up the capacity of their women so that they'll be able to, play their own parts and their own role to ensure that Africa gets to where it wants to be. Then another thing I noted here, which has been mentioned, is that business networks need to be strengthened. Like the president of NACCIMA mentioned, the women networks need to be strengthened so that they'll be able to help the women who are part of the network. And then in Nigeria and all over Africa, one of the disadvantages that women face is that they find it difficult to network with each other. So these networks will come in handy, and if they are empowered and built up, then the members will be able to benefit and gain what they need to know and how to help themselves. We also need to make sure that women on their own should show enough interest in what is happening around this free trade area agreement, and make sure that in their respective countries that they're part of the policy making, they're part of the respective committees. I know that each country has set up a committee to take care of these issues. So women should show interest and make sure that they're part of it so that their own voices can be heard. And then they'll be part of the policy making body that will make sure that interests of women are taken care of. I think that for now, I want to stop here until when the other people have, all the other presenters have, then if there's time, I'll still come back to talk about other issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you, VP Women Development, Nwosu, for presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, if we have been listening attentively, we know that the speakers have been saying the all important points about women being integrated into the AfCFTA, sustainability, inclusiveness of women. But to do this, like Mrs. Nwosu has said, there is need for those women to build up their capacity. If they don't have the capacity, they wouldn't know or they wouldn't understand, even though they are put in the know of what's going on that trade in the AfCFTA. So she has encouraged women to build up their capacity and make their voices strong so that they can be heard, so that they can be part of the policy making. Thank you so much once again, Mrs. Nwosu, for your wonderful presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important because after the presentations, we'll be taking either one or two comments and contribution for 10 minutes. So if you have a comment, contribution, or questions, we would enjoin you to drop it on the chat button, and our speakers would address them as we move on. Next on our list to speak is the Registrar General of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce Dispute Resolution Center. She's also the General Counsel of ACCI and has championed a lot of women issues all over Nigeria. She is going to be speaking to us about how women in businesses can use alternative dispute resolution to resolve disputes that may arise out of their businesses, especially as it relates to AfCFTA. Please welcome Ms. Aisha Ado Abdullahi. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Ms. Aisha,
I am happy to be here in the... I hope I can be heard. Chidima.
Okay, yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. I would like to adopt already established protocols and express my pleasure to be here amongst my mentors, women who have been inspiring us, especially Hajiya Saratu, who is the president of NACCIMA, and my colleagues, and the wonderful gentleman, Mr. Yemi, who is blessed among women. So I've heard a lot has been said on women in business, the challenges, the opportunities. But there is one part that I have observed, probably because it is my field, and
I'm not sure if you can all hear her. I think she's
It's
having a
an
bit.
area that I'm very passionate about, and that is dispute resolution. Can you hear me? Can
Yes, we just heard you now.
anyone?
See it again.
Ladies and gentle ladies, apologies for the hitch in communication. Ms. Aisha Abdullahi will be back shortly to continue our
Yes.
presentation.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
Can
you.
anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, this is, I guess the technical issue had to be on me to show us that there are always crises or dispute in any human issue, especially even if it has to do with technology. So this can be an issue for me to sue the network providers for creating this problem, because we expect that the network being provided, having been paid for, is supposed to be smooth. So this further buttresses the fact that there is bound to be dispute in any human interaction, especially where money is involved, especially in transactions, in business transactions. But oftentimes, in a business transaction, especially at the beginning where we are negotiating, entering into a business transaction, we usually focus more on the economic aspect of it. We usually focus more on the economic benefits of it, that we seldom think about what to do, measures to put in place in case a dispute arises, and then dispute is bound to arise. Lately, with more awareness, especially where lawyers advise their clients, they often advise them to include what we call the dispute resolution clause in an agreement, whatever kind of business transaction. But even that, where you have less information on what is available out there, even the clause itself has been a problem in itself, where it is not properly being drafted, not considering, usually what they do is to just adopt from a precedent, not minding the nature of the transaction, the types of issues or commodities or services being in question, the types of parties or the nature of parties. So there are a lot of things that are to be considered. So that is even talking generally. Now that we are talking about having one market for the whole of Africa, that is going to be a tough one if we do not mind and educate ourselves on dispute resolution mechanisms that would be available for us, especially women enterprises, whether small, medium, or large-scale enterprises. We have to educate ourselves. A lot of times the problem is from lack of information, lack of awareness. We seldom remember, or we seldom have the necessary information that we need to be able to put measures in place that would protect us, that would serve us as remedy whenever a dispute arises. So now, in Nigeria, we have a lot of dispute resolution institutions. We have a lot of dispute resolution outfits that are there to cater for parties, especially people in businesses. The Abuja Chamber of Commerce, having as its core mandate the objective of supporting and promoting businesses in Abuja and Nigeria now, deemed it fit because of the incessant experiences of their members in the past of getting involved in oftentimes a dispute of a debt over a debt of as low as 50,000, 100,000 naira had cost a business its total existence, because the debt would now then translate into involving law enforcement agents. You want to call the police on the person who is supposed to have paid you, or someone who supplied substandard goods. And then the police, we all know the hazards that involve, that entails involvement of the police in an issue, and then escalating to go to the court. And when you have to litigate in court, I think even if you've never been to the court before, you know that it takes a lot. If you have a small business, most of your income, even the capital, the small profit that you might have made would go into funding that case in court, which might drag for years. And then what would happen to the business? So imagine now that you want to venture out, you want to expand the business, you want to cross the borders of Nigeria now that we are planning to begin to operate within the African continent. So that means that we have to keep in mind what are available out there. The ACCI deemed it fit to create the Dispute Resolution Center to support its members and now the general public to, first of all, advise the businesses whenever you are venturing into a transaction, business transaction, what you need to put in place to protect you, what you need to put in place that would eventually be helpful to resolve whatever dispute that arises from that transaction, to help you to avoid spending too much on resolving the dispute, and also, and most importantly, to keep the relationship. We know that you can hardly have any dispute between strangers. Oftentimes, disputes arise from people or businesses that are already in an existing relationship. So you entered into that relationship, of course, with the intention, with the forecast of making good business, making profit, growing your business. So you wouldn't want, just for a little misunderstanding or a dispute, to sever that relationship. So what we do is to help you resolve the dispute and still maintain the business relationship and continue to grow. So there are institutes or organizations that are into helping businesses to resolve disputes. And now the African Continental Free Trade Agreement also has some provisions that have provided for dispute resolution mechanisms. At the moment, there is a challenge because those provisions are only providing for state members. Like Mr. Yemi mentioned, there are about 55 states that are members to the AfCFTA agreement. The provision for dispute resolution in the agreement is to the effect that it would serve to resolve disputes between those state members. So we are working on, and there's been a lot of comments and observations as to how limiting that provision is. So there is a movement towards expanding it to cover private individuals that are the member states, such that now it can be expanded to cover businesses, small scale businesses, any like a woman that has a business and there's a challenge or there's a dispute that has arisen or is being foreseen. So there will be provisions there to protect you that you can adopt, especially where you are engaging with some counterparts from another African country. So before we get to that, now what we have in place I think this service provider wants to hear from the dispute resolution. Am I? Can you hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you.
Okay. So finally, I want to conclude by advising women in business to please, just like mentioned by the previous speakers, try as much as possible to seek out information on all the available facilities and mechanisms that would support your businesses in local and the African continental zone community. So please seek out information. There is a lot of opportunities out there. There are a lot of resources out there at your disposal. But from my experience, what I have discovered is a lot of the challenges that women in business encounter is, apart from other challenges that were mentioned by the previous speakers, one important aspect is the lack of information. And honestly, the information would not just come to where you are in your shops or your houses. You have to seek them out. Now we are privileged to have the internet. Most of us have the basic or small smartphones, and it's not just for calling for supply or calling our customers. We need to also dedicate some time or some of the data or credit that we load on those phones to do some little research on information available out there that would serve us, especially in the area of dispute resolution. We have to remember that small disputes can be fatal to our businesses. Hence, it is so important for us to make sure that whatever transaction we venture into, we have what we need, all the tools. And importantly, that is why the Dispute Resolution Center of Abuja Chamber of Commerce was established to advise people in business, especially a lot of us are women, but I guess that is designed or destined, where women, we advise you in whatever transaction you venture into, how you protect yourselves. And when the dispute arises, when you encounter the dispute, we also have the facility and the resources to help you to resolve that dispute and help you avoid or extra expenses, waste of time, and to also help you maintain the good relationship that you started with before the dispute arose. So before the network yanks me off again, I would thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you, and thanks for whatever inquiries or support that you may need. Thank you very much.
thank you very much, the Registrar General of the DRC. Of course, in any human relationship, disputes are unavoidable. And we as humans, the only thing we can do is to prepare ahead and devise better mechanisms to resolve these disputes, especially as it relates to commercial disputes. And like she said, information is power. And once you have it, you have everything you need. So her advice is for us to research on this information regarding the AfCFTA and trade. And as you may all know, the chamber is readily available to support its members in any way they can to provide the necessary information. And the Dispute Resolution Center of the Chamber, of course, is available to assist in resolution of the said disputes. Thank you once again, Ms. Aisha Ado Abdullahi. Our next speaker is from the Short Smiles Women and Children Advocacy Initiative. She's the founder of this organization, and she's Dr. Mrs. Choros about what the initiative has done in respect of promoting women and trade. Thank you very much. Please welcome Dr. Chioma Uzo Udebunam.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Chioma.
You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Oh,
Please
that's
go ahead.
great. That's great. That's great. Good morning, everybody. I can see my Ebu DG there. I can see
Well, welcome, Doc.
I can see everybody. Yeah. I've seen Mr. Yemi Bello. I've seen Big Auntie Rose. I beg to stand on the existing protocol. And since the internet provider has not been friendly, I have to zoom off so that let me roll before they also yank me off or they start cutting me here. So yes, like she said, I'm Dr. Mrs. Uzo Udebunam Chioma. I am the founder of Short Smiles Women and Children Advocacy Initiative. And we've been working with women for the past 9 years. In fact, by August this year, we're going to be 10 years. And it's been awesome. It's been amazing. It's been wonderful. So what we basically do is to provide platform for women to strive, more especially the widows. You know, most widows that are vulnerable. We go in search of them, bring them out, tell them it's not the end of the world. There are still things you can do to put food on your table. There are still things you can do to make sure your children, they don't suffer. There are still things you can do, just like the other woman that the husband is there. So that confusion state, you know, when a woman loses the husband, there is this confusion. What happens to me? Where do I go from here? Especially those of them that are housewives. That is why we come in. So we when they come to us, we talk to them. We now tell them what would you want to do? What do you think you can manage? Some of them might be confused. They wouldn't even know where to start from. So we start from the list for them. We could just, okay, fine, let's do food. Everybody needs food. So we try to put them through if they don't know how to prepare the food that is assuming is this bean cake, that is the akara, the popular akara. So we put them through the training for about a day, 2, 3, and then we now support them. They can even do it within their premises there, within their building. And then by the time you know it, you know, they will add other things. Maybe they'll add a showcase, a show glass. They can also introduce the puff-puff and all of that. And by the time you know it, the woman has gotten a shopping, rented a shop in any of our markets. So we have so many of them like that. And not just the widows, even the ordinary people, like those that have retired at times, getting their monies, payment and all of that, depression sets in. I will tell them, no, there are lots you can do in business. There is a lot you can do. So, but most times is that seed money. How do I start? Where do I borrow money? I don't have what to give to the bank for them to, you know, collateral and all of that. So we bridge that gap of confusion for them. Like recently, In fact, this year during my birthday on the 31st of January, I now said, I'm not, because we also do other things aside women in business. But this year, on my birthday on the 31st, I said, Kai, the problem is getting too much because a lot of women, I have a lot of applications. I said, Kai, what I'm going to do throughout this year is with training of women in business. I'm going to train women. I'm going to train them into culinary radicals. So for last month, I had to put them through Momoy production. You know, they were why Momoy? I said Momoy production is the easiest, and you don't need too much money. You know, I think there were about 20 women. Yes, 20 women came for that radicals. We taught them how they can do it. We didn't take them to a luxury kitchen, or we took them we were real. Let me just use that word. We were real. We used charcoal, firewood. We used charcoal to tell them that you don't need gas, you don't need what do you call it, commercial gas cookers. You don't need with the just little firewood and your 3 stones, you formed, you know, what you can cook with, and then a pot. So we took them through the practicals. We did 3 modules of momoy, 3 modules of beans, and we were able to get 68 wraps. We used the leaf, the usual, not the, you know, have this, you have this cup, the ceramic cup and stuff. I told them, don't go there because it's quite expensive. Go to the market, get this leaf. This is our normal leaf. Yeah, we'll call it, is a popular, I think even the Igbos, Yorubas, they call it etere leaf. So we got the etere leaf and we wrapped and got that number. Most of them were, they all carried, I'll bring the video to DG to watch. They were screaming, you mean you could get this quantity from this? Then we now said, what is the least amount you can sell momoy? This happened between all of us at that practical arena. So they now said the least, we had the NTA people there. The lady now said there's this place near their office here in area 11. So the least that we could get momoy is 300 naira. We now said 300 multiplied by that quantity. One of the women actually moved her wrapper. Is it for real? I was like, I couldn't believe it. It's like I was in planet Mars. She said, Mommy, is it for real? I said, yes, we did it here and you all saw it. They were so excited. At the end of the day, I gave them certificate of participation, and then I gave them seed money. How much is 3 modules of modu? You just need your pepper, you need just a few onions, and what again did we put there? Then we now told them you can do eggs or you can do fish. And then the egg, if you put one whole, a full egg, the price is different, but we had to slice it. They were so excited. So next month, we are now planning to do, because I said every month we must look for something that is not too difficult, which they can do. Now, next month being, we did it this year, sorry, to mark the International Women's Day. So we now have another one next month. And I told them, which is the easiest? And I said, goat head. Hey, goat head, that is what we're going to prepare for next month. So we're going to teach them how to prepare the goat head. I don't know I think it's goat head porridge or something, you know. A lot of people, I tell them it's the food for the big boys. It's the good food for the big people. So even when you make the goat head, there's this small pot they usually use in serving it. Just a little in that pot is about 2,500. Yes. So they were like, the expectation is high for next month. And I said, I'm not going to take too much because I don't have too much money. We don't have too much money here. So I'm going to be taking 20, 20, 20. So the problem we're having now is, how do we now select the 20? So I told them what do, what do you call it now? We're going to do try your luck. So if you pick yes, you will now come in, you'll be selected. If you pick no, sorry, you now wait for the next, wait for the next month. So we've been trying to, try to help women get acquainted with businesses that you don't need too much money. At least let them start from there. You know, like the last this thing that the last Araha market that took place, I had to go all out to call them. Though I had the information, the information didn't come on time. But the little time I had to, mobilize those like food. And they were singing, DG, thumbs up for you, thumbs up. They can't forget you in a hurry. They were so excited. Those of them that brought the vegetables, they finished selling the vegetables. And the icing on the cake, DG, you still arranged for them to go home with transport money. Kai, till tomorrow, they said they want to bring something for the DG. I said, don't worry, we will arrange that. Maybe after when we're going for the next Araha market, people will now go and then see her. They can't stop singing your praise. So you see, these are the kind of platform we look at for. I personally look at for such platforms. When I see people are doing something, I go in there, find out how can it benefit the ordinary woman on the street, because that is my constituency. How can they come in and all of that? So by the time I'm acquainted and I'm told what to do and how they can come in, so I go all out and then search for them and then bring them. And it's been, I should say, the experience has been wonderful. I don't think I can do any other thing apart from what I'm doing, because you see, when you put a smile on somebody's face, the kind of prayer, DG, you will experience it. They were, if you see how these women were praying, and when they brought that 1,000 naira, and they were so excited. So this is what we do here at Social Smiles. We look out for where women can come in, where you do have opportunities, because if you allow them, they may not be able to access it. They may not be able to go. So I breach that gap. Now we are now talking with I just sent a letter to Israel. Some of them need small money to see how they can, upgrade their businesses. So I'm trying to see whether I've just written to see if I can have an audience with that microfinance bank, and then find out what is involved, and then how we can, bring the women to assess the loans. We also I connected them to, there's a Short Smile, using the Short Smile platform, we connected them to the National Council of Women's Society. So the last time they gave out this loan from the Bank of Industry, most of the women, at least 50 of the women benefited. So I think it was 50,000 naira that was given to them. And to the glory of God, all of them too had paid back the money, And then we were now waiting for the next batch. Unfortunately, we never heard anything. So that's why we now want to meet this other microfinance bank and then see what they have in stock for me. How women, because we learned that if you don't have a strong footing, they may not attend to you. So I now want to go in and then see how they can help assist women, so that I can now bring the women to assess whatever they have for women. So so far so good. Short Smiles, that's what we do, and then we won't stop at that. Every time I'm on the net, I have it on my phone, on the laptop, trying to find out what anybody is doing for women. If you are doing anything to improve the life of women, I will always be there, and then try to find out how I can leverage on that for these women. The ones that have benefited are doing so well, and they are so grateful. And we still have so many. Yesterday I was at yesterday was Mother's Day in some churches, and I went to speak at Hajiya. And then after speaking, and then I was about to leave because I introduced myself, what I do, and all of that. You need to see the number of women that came out to give me their names. Please, ma, please, our business, we need support and all of that. So basically, that's what we do. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Wow.
I'm grateful.
Wow.
Thank
What
you so much.
Wonderful initiative. What a wonderful thing you are doing for these women, especially the widowed.
Yeah.
We appreciate your work, and I'm sure the chamber will work with you in the relevant and necessary areas. Without wasting much of our time, we are supposed to end this webinar at exactly 12:30, and it's 12:25 here. So in the absence of any questions by the participants, I would move quickly to our able DG for her closing remarks. Our DG is, I'm not sure the word to use and describe her, but you know the saying that says, when you want something done good and fast, you hand it over to a woman. That is the DG. And please join me and welcome Ms. Victoria Akai to give the closing remarks.
Thank you, Chidima.
Welcome.
Remember that the men are still on this webinar. And they are our bosses, so small. Okay, I'm really so grateful to everyone who has been able to attend this webinar. Thank you so much. I have the privilege to, on the behalf of the President, Dr. Al-Mujtaba Abubakar, the EXCO, Council and members of Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and let me pause to say thank you so much for supporting the women. We're truly grateful. Dr. Chioma, it is this leadership and members of the chamber that have provided the opportunity of the Araha Women's Market. We're truly grateful to them. And I'll tell you something, whenever you bring out anything that has to do with women, they support it. Immediately, you hardly get any opposition to it. And in fact, they jump on it. This webinar, you know, we had to struggle to kick the men out. They were so interested in their wives and their sisters. So ACCI truly respects women and supports women. And our staff are here, the members are here, they know what I'm saying is true. I would also like to thank all the distinguished guests for honoring our women by making time out to attend this all-important webinar on how Nigeria and Africa in general can leverage on the potential of women in trade, given the recent signing into law of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Our utmost gratitude goes to our keynote speaker, the National President of NACCIMA, Hajiya Saratu Aliyu. She, immediately after her speech, she had to start traveling from Kaduna back to Abuja. We're truly grateful for making that sacrifice for us. Our guest speaker, the Executive Director of Women Arise Alliance, Mr. Yemi Bello, our he for she, thank you so much for coming. And we look forward to working very closely with you. We also would like you to thank your patron, Mrs. Aisha Babangida, for allowing you to come on this platform. Thank you so much. And then to our first Deputy President, our he for she, I would like to tell you how he came here today. He was in court. When I said the women need you, he dropped what he was doing and came here. Thank you so much, sir. We're truly grateful. We thank you for the support that you're giving us. We know that during your tenure, the women will be happy. Dear Dr. Chioma, thank you so much for accepting our invitation at short notice and for all the work that you are doing with the women. We can sit down and talk with Dr. Chioma for 2 hours and we haven't finished discussing what we want the women to do or what we're doing with the women. We're really grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My distinguished Vice President, Women Development, Mrs. Nwosu, one of the prettiest women I know. Thank you so much for your patience during organizing this whole event. In fact, the whole Women's Month. We are truly grateful and we are privileged to have you.
Thank you, Madam.
Aisha Ado Abdullahi, RG, my RG, and the ACCI Dispute Resolution Center, and my General Counsel. Thank you so much for being hands-on on organizing this, and thank you for your support. I tell her that I can walk on the street and look for anybody's trouble because she's seated in that office. Thank you so much, Aisha. Special thanks also to our speakers, all our contributors and our guests on this platform. We're truly grateful. Just as my president earlier mentioned, at ACCI, 60% of our membership base are either companies owned or led by women, and these women feature significantly in trade. We have quite a number of women who even own industries in Abuja. So if you follow our news, we are featuring them this month. You will see how well women are doing in trade. We understand the challenges that we women face that undermine our business growth, such as the lack of adequate information, like my president had earlier said, the capacity building gap, lack of appropriate business networking opportunities, poor access to finance, difficulty in access to land, poor access to market and market information, and other services that can facilitate women's business. We are making this a priority at the Chamber to ensure that our women lack nothing in managing their businesses. So while giving our women priority, the Chamber is also continuously supporting them by providing discounted free services that will help boost their businesses. So if you are a woman on this platform, either you are a member or you are not a member, please come to the Chamber and explore these opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, part of our mission is to contribute meaningfully to shaping policy making and implementation in Nigeria. This webinar is of so much importance to ACCI and the business community as a whole, as we cannot do business profitably without the success of the women in business. Also of special importance is this webinar in this period when Africa is commencing its implementation of AfCFTA. The proper development and implementation of policies that boost women participation in trade is now more than ever of great importance to Africa as a whole. We are convinced that the effective implementation of AfCFTA will bring about a major positive disruption in the way we do business. So AfCFTA must be therefore engineered to advance gender equality in Africa. And government, the organized private sector, businesses, civil societies, and development partners must pursue a business unusual approach to ensure this. Our women and young persons must be empowered to benefit from this major step in trade that has taken off in Africa. I would like to encourage our members again to send in their profile to be featured in our ongoing International Women's Day celebration publicity, and also in the magazine that will be out at the end of the month. Finally, please indulge me to applaud the team that organized this event. The team was led by our able media officer, Latifa Opola. Well done. Dear Chidima, our Deputy General Counsel, well done. You have done a fantastic job today. Not forgetting our Vice President, Women Development, Amina Akai, always available to stand in. Thanks a lot. Let me please enjoin us also to stay safe, for COVID-19 is still very much with us. Please sanitize your hands, wear your mask, take the vaccine, and have a wonderful rest of the Women's Month. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, DG.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, DG. And we look forward to fruitful interactions in the future with everybody. Have a nice rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. So let's do the hashtag we choose to challenge sign and then take a group picture before we go. Okay. Latifa, are you taking the picture?
I hope she can hear you.
Please turn on your videos and let's take the choose to challenge picture.
I think the person with the laptop can take the picture.
So who will let us know the picture has been taken?
So how do we know the picture has been taken? I'll take one from my end though.
Okay, that would be nice.
Yes, I've taken one. I'll take another one.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Bye.